What's up, everybody? My name is Lee Shaner, and you're tuned into You Feel Me. You said you've done some long interviews before for documentaries. What was that documentary about?
Yeah, it was a short. It was like a mini doc this year on my life, celebrating. I've been on tour for 10 years.
On tour for 10 years?
Yeah, and I'm just 27, so I qualified when I was 17. And
wow.
Yeah, so I was kind of celebrating that, but it went all the way back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going on tour at 17, that's you qualify for what is that league? I don't know shit about surfing. We're gonna keep it 100. So like all you surf fans out there, what's up? Scrub it, you kooks. But what tour is that?
Yeah, so in surfing we have the World Surf League,
Yeah.
and it's 10 events a year and one world champion at the end. And to qualify, you do the WQS, World Qualifying Series, and that's a whole tour in itself. And
So did you start that at 16 then?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I qualified by accident. I definitely wasn't ready. I was still in school and stuff.
Yeah.
But the results came, and so at the end of the year in November, the last event was in Hawaii, my home break.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, if you make the final, you qualify." And I was like one heat away, and I didn't even know it was feasible, or like I didn't even know it was in the distance. And I ended up making the final, and so my whole life changed
That's
at
it.
17. And
So when you say it was an accident, what did you like join the competition just as like a joke or what, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how could it be an accident? You had to know how talented you were.
Not necessarily a joke. I just wasn't. I wasn't trying. I have an older brother who surfs, and he was competing, and my dad's a old professional surfer, and so he was like, "You're not staying home." Like, he made me come with him and Mason to these events. And so there's men and women alongside each other. So every event my brother did, I did. And I got the results I needed. And come the end of the year, I was qualified. And my dad's like, "Okay, now we're on tour."
And then it's just your whole life ever since.
Yeah. And so I finished my senior year on tour.
Yeah.
And missed like a lot of things growing up because of it. And I think that documentary kind of just... celebrated, but also admitted to like...
It's like bittersweet, kind of. Like, you gained this huge following and this competitive lifestyle, but you lose some of like the normal shit that people get to do.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of fast forwarded into what you aspire to do, you know, when you're 20 or 21 and you're ready to like get focused, buckle down, win.
Bro,
world
nobody's
titles.
actually ready at 20 or 21.
True.
Like,
Let's say 40.
You are an outlier in every sense, because like I didn't start buckling down until I was like 35.
I
so
agree.
like, you know what I mean? Like, I did all that shit that you wanted to do as a kid tenfold, and then now I finally qualified for whatever, you know,
Totally,
like life's
totally.
series. Yeah.
I agree. So everything went really fast, and but in a sense it shaped me, you know, to grow up quicker and be successful younger and stuff. So I don't regret it.
Right.
But yeah, it's a huge learning experience, and I'm 27 now, and I feel like I'm still learning and figuring out what it is and what it's going to take to be number one.
Right.
10 years later.
What is that like after 10 years? Do you think, I know you as a human feel like a human. Do you think that people sometimes mistakenly look at you as a brand or something? You know?
Completely. Yeah, for sure. And they forget that on tour you're traveling to these beautiful destinations. You know, it's Bali, Brazil, Australia, Fiji, Tahiti. It sounds so glamorous and so beautiful, but we do enjoy where we go, but we're waking up every morning with this like psycho competitive mindset, and it's not like that enjoyable, you know. I'm not going out to all these beautiful restaurants and sitting there with my friends till midnight. I'm like in bed by 8 and waking up at 4 a.m.
Constantly on edge, wondering if it's about to break, and like having to be in the water at any minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And putting on a jersey is, I was talking about with a friend recently, it's like anyone who says competing is fun, it is fun in that moment where you got the good score or you're surfing really good. But the rest of it, it's a lot and it's tiring. And so I think that's a huge misconception, and as an athlete, is like we have this glamorous, cool jet setter life, but it's a lot more than that.
Right. And that jet setting is work in and of itself. Like, just being in all those different time zones is exhausting.
Exactly.
So, let alone the competing. Well, as such a young person that started competing so early, have you had to maintain your competitive edge via like sports psychologists, and you know what I mean? Like, do you get in a slump where you're like, fuck, how do I get out of this? Like, in baseball, they might call it the yips, you know, like people get the yips and all of a sudden they forget how to pitch. Like, have you ever just like woken up and been like, wait, what am I doing? I can't surf today.
Totally.
Yeah.
In different chapters, like, maybe 1 year or one event, my equipment isn't working, like my boards and stuff. And I kind of go through one of those, and then maybe it's like I'm not motivated to even go free surf, and you kind of want just a break. But I've learned really quickly that it's the people you surround yourself with. And I think that's why even musicians and stuff travel with friends. You bring good people with you. And that changes everything.
Yeah, because when you're in those new communities every other day, you have to keep your community around you to have that sense of family, yeah?
Totally. I've learned being alone. Like, obviously you go surf and I know everyone out there and it's cool, but to compete, like, you want to be happy the whole time. Like, you want to be stoked sitting at lunch with your friend. Like, I feel like being alone while I'm competing is the worst ever.
What is that? How do you get yourself out of that feeling of not being motivated? Tell me how you would re-inspire yourself. How do you reinvigorate yourself? Do you do it through music? Do you do it through a break? Do you know, what helps you? Yeah.
Lately, I've definitely learned I do it through good company.
Yeah.
Good friends. And I travel with my dad a lot through the year, and he's really energetic and pushes me to surf long and stuff. I traveled this year a lot with my cousin, and it felt like a bit of home with me, and that was really fun. But music too, obviously, is huge. It changes your mood. Yeah. It like deciphers everything, and so I think just good vibes, good music, good people.
Well, what's the best music to get pitted to?
Well, definitely music is personality.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty like bubbly and girly and chipper, and my music definitely reflects that.
Like what?
Like,
I'll put you on the spot. Let's drop names.
I will drop names. I like the new stuff, which is like everyone's like, oh my gosh, this new pop music. I actually enjoy it.
Pop music is sick right now. I think it's a really good era, personally. But yeah.
I mean, not many people my age would agree.
Yeah.
But I love it. Anything that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And then I'm also a sucker for, I kill my friends with this one, but I always say, oh, I'm playing this one at my wedding. So I love like old happy love songs.
Yeah. Okay. I was just waiting for you to say Jack Johnson because you know, as a non-surfer, I just assume that every surfer is just like listen to Jack Johnson.
I grew up with like
you guys grew up together.
We're in the same hometown.
There you go. Yeah, you talked about you know, that last qualifying heat being on your home break. What is your home break?
The North Shore of Oahu, Hawaii.
Oh yeah, you grew up on the North Shore.
Yep.
Wow.
Born and bred.
Let me tell you, I've only been to the North Shore once. It was for a photo shoot. I've never felt like more of a kook in my whole life. Like, because I don't know shit about surfing, and I feel like everyone on the North Shore is like looking at you like, could I beat that fool to a wave and or beat him up? And like out there, I felt like everybody, the answer was yes. Like, yes, you could, both. So
those are definitely the two things they're all thinking.
Right? Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we were sitting at this burger stand out there. You know that burger stand next to the gas station? I don't know what it's called, but it was delicious. Anyway, we saw this dude walk out of the grocery store or the gas station. I said, God damn, did you see that fool? He was so buff and he looked mean as shit. Like, that guy looks like he'll beat everybody up on the sign. Turns out it's that dude that's like famous for pulling people out of the break and beating the shit out of them. You know what I mean? You don't have to name drop him. We can cut that part out. But and my friends were like, yo, you don't know who that is? That guy's famous for doing that. I'm like, you could just see it in his eyes. Like, it's a very intimidating place.
It's very territorial.
Yeah. So what's it like growing up there? Do you notice that thing, that like vibe as a youngster?
Definitely. It taught me a lot about respect and respecting when I travel. And I understand half of what they're feeling. You know, I get it. There's a lot of tourists coming into your hometown, and it can be overbearing. I definitely don't understand or condone like the aggression. Yeah. And that's definitely dwindled.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's taught me a lot about respect, respecting my elders, respecting the sport and the rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because surf has a lot of unwritten rules that the standard person wouldn't know about, similar to hockey or even baseball. Like any other sport, there are these unwritten laws to abide by, and if you break them, you might be putting yourself in danger, right?
And on the North Shore especially, but.
And not even just on some aggression shit. Like if you break the wrong rule, like you could hurt somebody else on accident.
Totally.
You could end up dying on breaks like the North Shore, like pipe or something. Like you could really hurt somebody. Yeah.
I think that's like what's so unique about surfing is it is like you have to hold your breath for one when you fall. That's weird. No one else has to like deal with that. But you can easily hurt someone else, or a board can hit someone's head and they're gone.
Right.
So it is just like a lot about. My dad, kind of the first thing he taught me after the ocean and stuff was like be careful for others and just always protect yourself, like because you don't know what other people's capabilities are, and that's the scary part. Yeah,
totally. So tell me about your dad. How did he end up on the North Shore?
He was born and raised on the east side, though, in Waimanalo.
Okay.
A country town. And he moved to the North Shore when he was 18.
Okay.
Aspiring to be a pro surfer. And
where did he move from?
The east side.
Oh, he moved from the east side. Oh, he was
yeah.
born on the island and then moved to the North Shore. Okay.
And luckily got some land when he was young before it became so out of control.
Yeah.
And
so is he Hawaiian?
Yeah. My dad's Hawaiian Chinese.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
So half.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Did his folks? So did his folks moved to Hawaii at what point?
His dad.
Your grandpa.
Yeah, was pure Chinese.
Yeah.
And his mom was pure Hawaiian.
And
I don't know how his dad ended up there.
Yeah.
But he did.
But so like when you have generations on an island like that, like what is that like seeing how the island has developed and become so touristy? Like do you feel like it's abrasive since you have roots there, or
I feel like it's happening everywhere in the world. It's just everyone's blending.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot more travelers, a lot more gypsies, and
totally.
It is going to be hard to be rooted to your culture. Even my brother thinks about it. He's like, "Oh, I want to keep our bloodline," and I'm like, there's not many options.
It's so hard.
So it's happening everywhere, though. I think it's happening in every culture. And, I'm definitely proud, to still have Hawaiian blood and learn about the culture. And I'll definitely pass that down, even though it will be less and less for my kids. But
totally.
Yeah, just to know the culture and the heritage and about the island, the language.
How'd your folks meet?
My mom is from the South, like from Louisiana.
Oh, really?
And her parents moved to Hawaii through military.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And they met in the ocean. So,
Navy, Air Force, what?
My grandpa was a pediatrician for the...
one of those
for the
branches.
Army.
Oh, there you go, for the Army. Okay.
Someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was put in Hawaii.
So they met in the water?
Yeah. My mom like immediately got to Hawaii and tried surfing and loved it. And yeah, my dad said
on the North Shore. She just went to learn on the North Shore.
In town.
Okay.
But yeah, my dad said she was definitely not scared.
Yeah, right.
Not scared of the people either.
Which is so funny because like I love getting in the water. I love being in the water in Southern California, and man, the waves on the North Shore. Fuck no, I'm not going down that water. That looks like wow, it's terrifying.
It's just a lot about learning about the ocean, and then you're comfortable anywhere.
Right.
Once you have the eyes for it.
When they met, was he already off tour or was he still surfing?
They were young. They were 18.
Okay, so he hadn't even really started his career yet.
Exactly, yeah.
And so did they tour the world together then?
Yep, she definitely went to a lot of the events in the beginning, and she had my brother at 30, and I think she stopped surfing right then and just enjoyed motherhood.
Yeah.
And even now to today, she's like, I want to go surf, and it's so cool. Like
that's
30
sick.
years later, she's inspired to go surf again.
Hell yeah. That's sick. And so you're the younger, your brother's older and you're younger. What's your guys' age difference?
My brother and I are 2.5 years apart. And
did that make you guys competitive growing up?
You would think so, but he is the most loving brother you could ever have.
That's sick.
So there was no competitiveness. There's only support.
Yeah.
He just wanted me to be the best, and it's insane. I'm like, are you human?
That's amazing. You're lucky because I'm an older brother as well, but I have a younger brother, not a younger sister. And I feel like if I had a younger sister, I'd be like, come here, girl. I'm going to look out for you your whole life. But with a younger brother, I'm like,
totally.
Like we just fought like cats and dogs the whole time growing up.
No, I've seen it all, you know, and I've never seen a sibling like Mason.
That's amazing.
Even I pinch myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
Now, so forgive me with this question. I didn't do my homework, but your dad, is he like pretty legendary surfer?
He is. He accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
And he's just very humble. And
Okay.
Yeah.
So
he's done a good job.
At what age do you become aware of the fact that like your dad's a legend? Like, you know?
That's funny because I didn't notice, you know, growing up, because he was just dad. Like he made me do the dishes. He made Mason do the yard. Like we didn't really know. He would surf a lot, but we didn't notice.
It's like whatever, everybody surfs.
Yeah, and me and Mason would do our own thing. We'd go to
Yeah.
the beach and play on bodyboards or whatever. We dirt biked for a while before we even liked surfing.
Yeah.
And then there are events every winter. It was called the Triple Crown.
Yep.
And we would skip school and to watch, and eventually like I started hearing my dad's name on the loudspeaker
Right.
making heats and stuff. And I think once I saw him on the podium a couple of times, I was like, whoa, that is cool.
Yeah.
And then we started watching. Mason would show me like home videos or like videos that he's in, and magazine clippings and posters. But yeah, growing up we never like had photos of dad anywhere. Like,
is he kind of like a big man on campus around the North Shore, like where people stop and talk to him all the time?
Totally, but he's also just he's a big teddy bear. I think everyone loves him for how humble and quiet he is, but just so happy, and he's always surfing. It's insane. He's 61 and surfs more than all of us.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, surfing seems like such a healthy lifestyle. Like that fool's probably gonna be surfing until he's like 80.
Totally.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time, like, what does he do? What does he take? And I'm just like,
that's it.
Literally, he just surfs.
Yeah.
Like, he has no special diet, eats like any Hawaiian.
Yeah.
And yeah, he looks amazing.
That's sick. How early does your dad start putting you out in the water? Just like time you're a fucking fetus?
Most now, yeah, you totally see that. My dad, now I'm looking back at my upbringing, he totally just wanted to surf for himself when we were young. So he almost like hid what he was doing for a while just so he could have his time. And once I was maybe 8 or 9, I would start nagging him like, can you take me surfing? And and you saw the change of the guard, and he's like, okay.
Oh yeah, right.
Put his board down and, you know, swam out and helped.
And had Mason already been surfing by that point too?
Yeah, but Mason fully taught himself also.
Right. Yeah,
like,
he probably just found other friends that were his age that wanted to get out there.
Exactly. Yeah. So dad was definitely held on to his career as long as he could without.
But at the same time, growing up in that environment, even before you started surfing, you must have already just been like a water baby, yeah?
Totally.
Like you probably learned to swim very early, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. And the only, we're on an island. The only thing to do after school is go to the beach.
Yeah, right.
So it was very natural for us to just teach ourselves and watch everyone around us, you know, do it.
What kind of school did you go to growing up? Because I know I had some Hawaiian friends in Alaska when I was a kid that were 100%. And when they lived in Hawaii, they went to like a specific school for Hawaiians, like where you had to have like bloodline. Yeah.
So that's Kamehameha School.
Yeah.
We could have gone. It's in town. It's like an hour away from our house.
Yeah.
So I just went very local. We have our elementary was directly across the street from Pipeline.
Oh yeah.
So when events were on, we could like hear the scores and hear like my dad's name or my uncle's name. And teachers would even take me across the street if it was on during recess
and
let me watch my dad or uncle.
I feel like I saw that school while I was there.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's literally
yeah. Amazing.
And then high school was 20 minutes on the east side, and it was all Samoans and Tongans and football players.
Shout out to all my Usos.
Seriously, and I was like weird to them. I was this blonde hair little girl, like with a leash tan and sunburn, and they're like, why do you surf? I'm like, why don't you swim? We were on an island. Oh, shit. Like it was just very two different cultures, but we're all right there, you know. It's really funny.
Yeah, here's a sensitive question kind of on topic to that, but like for all intents and purposes, if you're on the mainland, you pass for white. You're blonde hair, you know what I mean? You have just a round, you just look like a normal blonde girl, right?
Yeah.
So, but knowing that you have Hawaiian bloodline, was that ever an issue out there? Were people like, they would check your, like pull your card or anything?
I think at school I hated being blonde because that was the minority.
Yeah. And
I have Hawaiian blood, so I'd get really like defensive, and I'd be like, Dad, why do I look like this and not like everyone else? And then, that you learn about skin color and like.
There's a hierarchy, I'm sure. Yeah.
And so for me, I was like the blonde, like I hated it.
Yeah.
And,
Would people kind of underestimate you in the water at times because of that?
Totally.
Yeah.
And still to this day, like I'll be traveling and they'll be like, oh, you're Hawaiian, and give me that look, and I'm just like, ugh. But
you're like, no, I'm Hawaiian.
Yeah. I'll start chanting to you.
Yeah.
No, but it's a real thing. Like,
Yeah,
for
I'm sure.
all different shapes and sizes. Like you deal with it in a different way.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing is like you can't fall victim to it. Even when I feel weird about it, you just gotta be so strong and yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm Hawaiian.
Totally. What before surfing took over the world for you, what were you into as a little child? Yeah. Do you remember anything?
At 5, my brother and I dirt biked. There's a dirt bike track right above our house, and
so you were always just pretty gnarly.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty bad. I went straight over a berm down a cliff.
Oh.
Mason's like, berms, you go with it.
Yeah.
Not against it.
Right.
So I aired over it.
Yeah.
And no, but we
landed on the flat and broke yourself
down the cliff. Yeah. Bike on me, throttle stuck.
Oh God.
But I did anything Mason did.
Yeah.
And he was one of those brothers that let me.
That's sick.
So.
Because he was smart. He's like, yo, we're only 2.5 years difference. By the time I graduate from high school and she graduates from high school, she'll have all these hot friends. I gotta he was a smart guy. Mason's smart.
Now he's bumming. All I have is friends that are guys.
Oh, you blew it, Mason. You blew it. So when you get in the water, what kind of waves are you surfing at first? Because it's obviously like you can't just learn to surf on pipe or something. You know what I mean? Like, totally. Where do you go?
Yeah, you grow up at or you learn to surf at like a novice wave, and then you start just graduating. But there's a lot of options. I learned to surf way inside of Sunset Beach, which is our home break. And then you kind of start graduating to, like, Mason would start surfing the next reef out. And I'm like, whoa, Mason's at Val's.
I got to catch up.
Yeah, so you slowly start getting comfortable and just smarter.
Now, you strike me as a humble person who's going to answer this with a no, but be honest. Were you a natural?
I honestly don't know.
Did it take quick? Like, did you love it instantly, or was it an uphill battle?
I loved it instantly, and I think I didn't know any
other way.
Yeah, and I didn't have like a competition. Like I wasn't just battling this other girl.
Right.
I kind of just grew, and I think that's really special because my style's my own, my approach is my own, because I did that by myself at 8, 9, 10 years old.
So kind of even from a young age, whether or not you were aware of it, you were kind of doing it for yourself and for your soul.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's so rare nowadays.
Right.
Nowadays it's
like surf dads or skate dads, like, do this, work harder.
And you're already comparing and looking at someone else.
Yeah. Oh, so-and-so's doing this.
Exactly. So I'm so lucky. It was pre-social media, it was pre-everything.
Yeah.
And so everything that I have done since was like natural.
Yeah, and that's amazing.
So lucky.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
I'm scared for all these generations now. You know, it's so sad.
Right. I mean, you see that in all kind of the board sports where it's now that it's a couple generations past the super OGs. Like you get there's like, camps that are like I grew up going to baseball camps, and now there's stuff like that for skate, surf, snow. Like there are these super competitive camps. Like, oh, you don't got a corkscrew yet? For
like
a 10-year-old.
Trampolines, wave pool. Like it's the standard's gonna be so high. Everything's just gonna be so formulated and calculated, and then
it becomes like gymnastics instead of a soul sport. I mean, particularly surfing. That's always struck me as like a real earth-loving sport. You get out there and get in touch with nature.
Totally,
right?
It's intuition. I mean, you watch someone surf and you're like, how do you know to paddle there?
Right.
It's all intuition. You feel, you think, you do.
Yeah. Do you remember having a moment where you feel like you finally figured everything out, like a day when everything clicked and you were just like, oh, I like fully understand this now?
I'm still getting glimpses of that.
Yeah.
Especially in competition, because it is like a science now. It is so much more than riding the best 2 waves.
Right.
It's like holding priority and not wasting it, and maybe blocking this and doing that. It's a full science.
Right.
But there is a moment when I was young, probably one of my first big wins, where I was just like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I want to do this a lot.
Right. So after you're figuring it out when you're 8, 9, 10, and by the time you're starting to go into those preteen years, were you surfing around other girls? Were there girls around? And did you notice that you were like perhaps elevated compared to the people that you were around? Like, did you start to notice yourself breaking away from the pack of your peers at a young age?
On the North Shore, I was lucky I was the only girl.
Really?
So that might have put a lot of less pressure on me.
Yeah.
Or only girl my age.
Yeah.
And I had all my brother's friends, my brother, and then the Johns, and I grew up with him, and he's a world champion now.
Yeah, we shot John. We were in the North Shore. That's the shoot that we were there for.
Oh, cool.
But it was like when he was filming this huge video, and they're like, yeah, we were there for 4 days. And they're like, yeah, we're hoping he gets out of the water at some point. We had a flight. He got out of the water for like a half an hour, 2 hours before our flight, and that's when we got to shoot him.
So typical.
It was so funny. But anyway, go ahead.
So
you grew up with John.
I grew up with him. He's a year younger, so I was kind of like the bossy little friend.
Right.
But that's who I'd surf with every day after school. And after school, it's just like you're going to the beach if you finish your homework and you're there till dark.
Yeah.
Like, so it wasn't we weren't doing it to practice. We were doing it to play.
Yeah.
And I think that's why naturally we both are still so invested in it with our hearts, and not our like counting numbers and contracts and stuff. You know, it was a real love. And then I realized on the south side of our island was Carissa Moore, who was also a year younger than me, and she was the best girl. Yeah. So only then did I like realize like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
But I needed her. You know, if I didn't have her, I don't think I would have pushed myself. But then I also kept the pressure off because she's from the south side and I'm from the North Shore.
Right.
So I did a really good job of letting her come into my peripheral, but not like
it was
getting
more,
consumed by her.
Totally. It was more of like inspiration rather than a legit nemesis or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's great.
So it's
everybody
a good
needs
balance. Like I'm like proud of myself today for taking it like that.
Yeah, totally. What was the first time you got into a scary wave?
It's probably always like little weird moments. It could not even be that big, but you could be like really close to a rock and like you're like, oh no, like looking, and like if this set breaks, I'm toast. So even just moments like that where your heart drops and you like go into survival mode. Yeah. But there's a lot of those, and it teaches you like quick reactions. And
how long did it take you from to graduate from those little learner waves into like the big world class waves? How many years of work?
Definitely
practice, fun.
Fun. Yeah. Definitely a few years for sure. And then looking at John and Mason being like, oh, I don't want to surf alone. Totally. So I would sit on the end and still surf with them.
Yeah. When you're 16 and you kind of go into the qualifiers, right, and end up on the tour, realizing that life is going to change, how did you prepare yourself for it? And did you feel scared about your life changing, or were you ready?
I almost didn't know enough. Yeah. Like I almost didn't know how crucial the tour would be. Mm-hmm. And then my first year on tour, I was so stoked to go to all these new places that I was so consumed and I didn't notice. But I did start to notice I had my friends less, you know, because I wasn't home. So my friends from school that I grew up with, those faded, and then my international friends that I traveled to each event and saw became a fixture in my life. So I think just the friendship changed, and then as I got older, a few years in, there was pressure, you know, to make heats, to stay on tour. Managers would be like, "Do you need a psychologist?" And if I lost a couple heats, they'd be like, "Are you okay?" And like think I'm like having a mental breakdown. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I just lost 2 events in a row. Do not worry." Right. Like I'm human. Right. So I think those pressures sucked. Yeah. Early on, you know, I was like, let me live.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I've met a lot of competitive people in my life, and overall, just from the half an hour we've been speaking, I get a very like down to earth, normal vibe from you. You know, like you don't seem like a crazy competitive person, though you are. Not crazy, nor you know what I mean. You know what I meant. Anyway, how do you keep that level head on? Like, how do you not let yourself believe the hype? How do you not let yourself be the like, oh, I have 1 million Instagram followers or whatever? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. How do you stay humble?
It's definitely my personality, and sometimes as a competitor it sucks. I'm like, I wish I could be a little more fiery and a little more, but I think
more
I'm
of a Kobe.
totally.
You know?
And I think I'm so just confident in my ability, like the natural ability to surf, that's why I'm like can stay like a little feisty and confident, but then be me.
Totally.
But there were a lot of pressures, and today, you know, with the huge deals we have, or like the opportunities, it's like now Olympics and stuff. It's a lot of pressure to like buckle down and to turn into this like competitive maniac I might not be. And I think that's where I recently told a coach that's where music and like headphones have been a huge thing for me, because at the contest, if someone wants to sit and talk, they'll come to me because they know I will just chat.
Because you're just a giving person. Yeah.
Right before my heat.
Yeah.
But putting on a headphone now to me is like my saving grace, because it keeps those people away, and it does let me like try and find that inner fire that I do have, but sometimes it takes a little bit to come out. So music and like just the look of having a headphone on, they don't come and
it's like a fuck off. Like, hey,
it is.
Yeah, don't.
And I needed that because I couldn't do that verbally. I couldn't be like, hey, I'm focusing for my heat. Like,
right.
I couldn't even come out of my mouth.
Yeah. So. How old were you when you started having like the managers and the sponsorships and all that? Like, when did you start realizing it was a business?
Good question. I think maybe when I just did my first signature board short or like bikini line when I was 15, 16.
That young?
Yeah.
Wow.
And just like seeing me on a tag with my signature, I was like, whoa, this is the real deal.
Right.
And I think that's where I started taking it a little more serious.
Totally. In a world full of celebrity scandal, how have you stayed out of the limelight with that?
Wait, what?
I don't know. Like, I'm like, people are always fucking up in the media. Okay, I guess here, let me rephrase that. Like, did you have to start taking media training at a young age to learn to like stay out of the wrong side of the spotlight?
No, because I was never like party girl. Like looking for those things. Yeah. I have a big brother and a scary dad that I've always wanted to please, and I think that was like also my biggest saving grace and a huge part of my personality is growing up, I never wanted to bum Mason out.
Right.
Anything I do, even like a turn, you know, I wanted the turn to be good because I want him to be proud. And then any like boy or anything, I wanted him to be like Mason approved.
My brother and dad need to like you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
I definitely just try not to mess up for them.
Yeah, it came natural.
But it was because of them. So
yeah, totally. Being that surfing is such sort of a spiritual activity, right? But you have this balance where you also have to compete. You also have to manage a business out of it. Mm-hmm. Has it ever felt like work? Have you ever been bummed on surfing?
Totally.
Really?
And probably more lately, like in the past few years, just because I catch myself like, I'm kind of tired I've done the same schedule for the past 10 years. Mm-hmm. I do 15 events, so many countries, then photo shoots in between in different countries. And there's times where I'm just like, I can't maintain a relationship because I'm gone all the time, or I can't see my mom all the time or my grandma, you know, and I know time is like not forever.
It's finite,
I think that's where I get tired and that's where I get like bummed out.
Mm-hmm. And I think people probably assume that it's all this exciting stuff and like, oh, you travel so much, but it gets monotonous. Photo shoots are the same everywhere you go. Yep. You know, interviews are the same everywhere you go, except for this one. But so like the work side of it is probably a bummer a lot of the time. Yeah.
I think you just get, mentally exhausted from everything. And you can't maintain everything perfectly because you have to make sacrifices. Mm-hmm. And I do keep it in check that all this hard work is for the future and like for just having a legacy and being able to teach my kids everything I learned because I went around the globe 4,000 times.
Right.
So
Yeah. Do you ever have time to just kind of like take a second for yourself and be like, wow, I've like really created this amazing life for myself? And, you know, like sometimes you have to like recenter yourself. Do you get time to do that?
yeah, as soon as it's so easy to go negative and then you can fix it with all the positives.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of time alone, you know, sitting on the plane and
Yeah.
I catch myself quick and I'm just like, wait. And you can outweigh the negatives very easily.
Yeah, totally. Over the years of your travels, where are some places that you have gotten to spend significant time, not just on tour, that you love and like to revisit?
Like when I'm done on tour, where would I want to go back?
Yeah, sure, wherever.
There's a lot of special places I've been, and I think about, I'm like, would I ever go back to Brazil once I'm done competing?
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are all yeses if you have someone to take there with you.
Yo, knowing a local that's the route anywhere you travel.
Totally. Yeah. And then also like bringing new, like your love or your children to this place.
I mean, I bet your contact list, you probably got couches to crash on across the globe, so you're set with that.
Totally. And that's another perk of traveling and doing the same thing for 10 years is I have family in each country.
Yeah.
And I have friends. And we all talk about it. We're like, what happens when we're done? You know, like, will we all still keep in touch? And I think this whole generation is so much travel that even when we're older, everyone's still going to want to travel.
Totally.
Even if it's not 15
that's
events
embedded
a year.
in you now. Like,
exactly.
You're stuck traveling whether you want to or not.
Totally.
You've created a lifestyle around
It'd be
that.
weird not to.
Right, exactly. You'll get stir crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you're still so young, and this is not meant to sound like some fucking career morbidity shit, but what does happen after you're done? Like, when do surfers usually retire? How long do you think that you're going to have that drive to compete? And what is life after surfing?
Yeah, that's a valid question. And I've been lucky enough to watch all the generations before me kind of deal with it. And it's interesting, you know, it's like how you freaking make lemonade. Yeah. And I've seen really successful, like, people just stay in surfing, be coaches, be mentors, work in the with the brands and stuff. Or I've seen people just completely stop, stay home, family. So it's kind of how you want to do it. And I don't know where I'm gonna go or where I'm gonna end up, but the average woman probably retires at like 33.
You got a lot of years left.
There's a few years left as long as I can keep the fire.
Yeah.
And stay healthy. And then the boys in surfing, it's crazy. The age has gotten so much later.
Yeah.
So.
Well, speaking of that, I just saw you were like surfing Kelly's wave. How's that?
So fun.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Is that the future of surfing?
If it is, I'm glad I'm almost done.
Really? Explain that.
Because the wave is fun to enjoy, and we've all been talking about it on tour. You know, it's like
it looks amazing and endless, and
as a surfer, it's the best thing to do. You know, you just want to get barreled and play around in this pool that is so unique.
Yeah.
But to compete, as soon as we learned we had an event there, we were all like bummed on it, like it turned into a job.
Yeah.
And we're like, whoa, the coolest thing that happened to surfing is now like a bummer, because it is just interesting to. It's fresh water, one.
Yeah.
It's the ocean generates energy forward, even if it's like windy and the wind's blowing into your face. The ocean moves in a direction.
Right.
This moves as a tidal wave, so it surges and then sucks out. So when you're surfing, you're actually like using 20% more effort because you're trying to really push water.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like a wakeboard wave.
Yeah.
So as real and cool as it looks, it's like you can tell on the people, like everyone's fatigued, you know, you're pushing so hard, but everyone's riding lighter boards and
But also some of those like unwritten rules we were talking about get eliminated all of a sudden. Like all of a sudden you kind of like don't need to know your place in the lineup or, you know? Yeah.
And then it takes away the intuition and the reading the ocean and like all those special things about surfing. And it turned into a bummer once we knew there was an event there.
Yeah.
Right now there's only one event in the wave pool. I'm sure in the future there'll be a lot more.
Right.
And I'll be glad if I'm winding down.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've asked a bunch of surfers about that, just my friends that surf, and they're like, oh man, it looks amazing. And I'm like, I don't know that much about surfing, but I feel like one of the things I would intuitively interpret from that is that all that kind of insider knowledge that people like me aren't privy to goes out the window when it's like a controlled environment. Because part of the thrill, I would imagine, is or are those intangibles. You know what I mean? Like, what's the wind going to be like?
Yeah.
What, you know, is McFadden going to have to punch a shark? You know what I mean?
True.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
It got a little boring.
Right.
But,
Yeah, totally. But shout out to that wave.
but love you, Kelly.
Yeah, shout out Kelly. Well, shit, man. I feel like we did what we came to do. This was amazing. You're so easy to talk to, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, most definitely. What's next for you? What are you going to after this? Oh, I actually do have one more question.
Okay.
What are your interests outside of surfing? How do you entertain yourself when you're not in the water?
Outside of surfing. That's a funny question because I am from Hawaii, so everything is surfing.
Everything.
You walk into my house and it's just like surf, 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 surf.
All the artwork is surf. You're like,
yeah.
I paint surfboards.
Yeah. So when I am outside of surfing, outside of competing
Yeah,
and
yeah.
surfing, I just try to enjoy like family time. And I've just growing up and traveling a lot, I've learned to love fashion and being a girl, embracing that. You know, we've come into a day and age where being a woman athlete is something very special. And so just being able to like work with that and enjoy that is really cool.
Amazing.
But yeah, no like crazy like I love guitar.
Yeah,
I love
right.
yoga.
Yeah.
No, it's my heart is all in surfing still. And
Traveling as much as you do got an expansive palate with food? Like, will you try anything, or are you scared of food? Yeah.
I'm a foodie.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I love good food. I
Yeah.
wouldn't try escargot.
Yeah.
I know what I like.
I'm scared of escargot only because one of my friend's brothers got paralyzed from undercooked escargot. Can you believe that? He got like a neuro disease. Yeah, it's crazy. So
Oh wow.
be careful with them snails, y'all.
I will never go there now.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Anyhow, yeah, food. I love food.
Yeah. So
you've
traveling.
probably gotten to eat some amazing food.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, shout out. Have you ever go to Maui? Go to Mama's Fish House?
Yes.
That was one of the best meals I ever had.
I think it's first or second best restaurant in America.
Really?
Yeah.
We went
In
went
US.
there with the Walshes
Yeah.
on a shoot.
Yeah.
Shout out DK.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And oh my God, one of the most memorable meals of all time. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't wait to go back to Maui just to eat that. But
Yep.
anyway, all right, Coco, where can the people find you online? At Coco Ho? Everything?
Someone had my name actually.
Get out.
So I'm XO Coco Ho.
That
so
son
I've
of a
given
bitch.
everyone
We
a
need to
kiss
sue
and a hug.
somebody. Let's sue somebody. XO
I
Coco
check her
Ho.
out sometimes.
Oh, really?
No.
No. It's probably just a fan page.
Like,
They
I
just
just
post
like-
pictures of you. Yeah. So XO Coco Ho, no underscores or anything.
Nope.
And are you on Twitter too?
Yep.
What's your Twitter?
I have
Same
my
thing?
name.
Yo, just regular Coco Ho.
Coco Ho,
There you
yeah.
go. Find her on Twitter. Find her on Instagram. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. This is amazing. And I
Thank
hope you
you.
enjoy the rest of your day and your time out here. Thanks for tuning in to You Feel Me. If you want to hear more, go to skullcandy.com/music. Want a pair of headphones like the ones we used for today's episode? As a special thanks to our listeners, we're giving you 30% off your next Skullcandy order with the promo code MUSICYOUCANFEEL. That's MUSICYOUCANFEEL. Subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app now to stay up to date on our latest episodes.